Modern science just analyzed DNA that is 40,143 years old, and the result is shocking.
Over the past about 10 years or so, there's been a revolution in our ability to read DNA from ancient fossils. And this has revealed some amazing things about recent human evolutionary history. And one of the most striking is that humans, our ancestors, interbred with Neanderthals. This is about 50,000 years ago that this happened. And there's still a remnant of that interbreeding in the genomes of many modern humans living today.
This is not some boring school lesson. This is about a hidden relative called Thorin who lived in a cave alone for 50,000 years. But here's the deal. His DNA shows that Neanderthals were not just simple cavemen. They had secrets buried in their genes that look like mathematical codes. What many can confirm is that we are just now learning the truth about our lost cousins. The story is about to get much weirder.
There is a program to bring back the Neanderthal.
Really?
Yeah. However, at Harvard, there's a group looking at what it would take to bring back a Neanderthal boy, let's say. Then the question is, what do you do with the boy afterwards? Do you let him into Harvard? Do you put him in a zoo? What do you do with the Neanderthal boy? Is it immoral to put a Neanderthal into a zoo?
That seems a little like, what if they decided to create an Australopithecus, and bring that back to life? I mean, aren't we a better version of that? I mean, didn't evolution show like that sucks? You don't want, and so if that thing exists, what are we gonna do? Just leave it out there in Africa? Let it roam around, get eaten by lions?
Well, this is where ethics comes in.
Right.
At what point does a robot or a Neanderthal become ethically equivalent to a human?
Right.
This is something that the ethicists have not worked out.
How close have they gotten with this Neanderthal thing?
Well, we've sequenced all the genes of a Neanderthal now. So the Neanderthal is not a mystery anymore. All the genes have been sequenced. And like I mentioned, at Harvard, there's talk about what it would take to bring back a Neanderthal child. And it's something that is conceivable, but of course no one's done it yet because all sorts of ethical problems are raised because this Neanderthal it could feel pain. It could eventually learn how to talk to you and express its feelings. And do you want to put it in a cage?
Neanderthal bloodline. Exposed forever. The crazy part is how they even got the DNA out. See, when something stays in the ground for 40,000 years, the genetic code usually falls apart. It gets messy and mixed with dirt and tiny bugs. But this specimen was different. It was preserved so well that scientists could read it like a book. What most people do not realize is that this Neanderthal, nicknamed Thorin, belonged to a group that stayed hidden from everyone else for over 50,000 years. They were like a lost tribe living right next to our own ancestors, but they never mixed with other Neanderthal groups. It is not that simple, though. While they stayed away from other Neanderthals, they were definitely not alone. The data shows that these ancient people were living in very small groups. And that is putting it lightly. When a group stays that small for that long, things start to go wrong with their health. This 40,143-year-old DNA showed that they were suffering from a lot of inbreeding. In one famous case from a place called El Cedron, researchers found 13 individuals who all had the same strange bone problems. Some had extra ribs, and others had knees that did not work right. This was a key detail because it showed that their world was shrinking. They were the last of their kind, holding on in the shadows while modern humans were starting to take over the world. But here is the deal. Even though they were struggling, they left a permanent mark on us. Most people carry between 1 and 4% Neanderthal DNA in their bodies right now. This is not just some random leftover junk. It is active. It affects how we sleep, how our skin handles the sun, and even how our bodies fight off viruses. Hands down, the most shocking thing about this specific 40,143-year-old sample was how it connected to people living today. It was not just a dead branch on a tree. It was a bridge. Scientists use supercomputers to compare this ancient code to thousands of modern people. They found that certain parts of the Neanderthal genome are actually becoming more common in humans over time, not less. This means that those ancient traits were actually helpful. They helped our ancestors survive cold winters and strange new diseases when they first moved into Europe and Asia. But as the scientists dug deeper into the code of this 40,143-year-old specimen, they found something that should not exist. It was a segment of DNA that did not come from humans and did not come from Neanderthals. It came from somewhere else entirely. Something even weirder was hiding inside those genetic strands. Silent ghost species, living inside humans. The mystery of the 40,143-year-old DNA took a turn for the weird when researchers found what they call ghost DNA. This is a key detail that has everyone in the science world talking. Basically, when they mapped out the full genome, they saw pieces of code that did not match anything they had ever seen before. It was like finding a page from a different book stuck in the middle of a story. What many can confirm is that this ghost species was a type of ancient human that we have never even found bones for. And get this unknown group was breeding with Neanderthals right before they went extinct. The crazy part is that this ghost DNA is still in us too. It is not that simple, though. These segments of DNA are not just random. Some of them follow strange patterns that some people claim look like mathematical sequences, like the Fibonacci sequence. Now, there are still many rumors in the air about what that means, but it shows that ancient history was way more complex than just a few tribes of cavemen moving around. So, here's the deal. Our ancestors were part of a giant messy family that included at least 3 or 4 different types of humans, all living at the same time. One of these groups was the Denisovans. We only know about them because of a tiny finger bone found in a cave in Siberia. But the 40,143-year-old Neanderthal DNA shows that there was another group, a third ghost, that lived even further back in time. This group must have been around for hundreds of thousands of years, hiding in Africa or Asia, waiting to leave their mark. The result is shocking because it means we are not just one species. We are a mix of many. Yeah, this is a key detail because it explains why humans are so different from each other. Researchers are now looking at people in different parts of the world to see which ghost species they carry. For example, people in some parts of the islands in the Pacific have a lot of Denisovan DNA. But this new ghost DNA found in the 40,143-year-old sample seems to be everywhere. It is like a secret ingredient that was added to the human recipe at the very last second. Everyone is obsessed with finding out who these ghosts were, but since we do not have their bones, the DNA is all we have. The crazy part is that this ghost DNA seems to be linked to the most important parts of being human. It is found in the genes that control how our brains grow and how our immune systems work. It is like these ancient unknown people gave us the tools to become the smartest animals on Earth. But it was not all good. Some of this ghost DNA also brings problems. But we will get to that in a bit. The point is, the more we look at this 40,143-year-old bone, the more we realize we do not even know who our own parents were. Scientists decided to bring these ancient traits back to life in a lab. Shocking health traits inherited from cavemen. To see what this 40,143-year-old DNA actually does, scientists did something that sounds like a movie. They took specific Neanderthal genes and put them into mice and even into small clusters of human cells in a lab. This is a key detail because it lets us see the past come alive. Basically, they wanted to know how these ancient mutations changed the shape of a body. The crazy part is what happened next. When they added a Neanderthal gene called GLI3 to the mice, the animals started growing differently. The mice ended up with wider heads and different shaped ribs. They did not have any health problems, but they looked different. This matches exactly what we see in Neanderthal bones that are 40,000 years old. They had huge brows, wide chests, and very thick bones. By doing this experiment, scientists proved that a single tiny change in the DNA could change the whole look of a species. It is not that simple, though. These changes are not just about looks. They are about how the body works on the inside. What most people do not realize is that these same genes are inside you right now. For starters, one Neanderthal gene helps people's blood clot faster. 40,000 years ago, this was great because if you got a scratch while hunting a mammoth, you would not bleed out. But today, it is not so good. It can lead to heart problems or strokes. Another gene from that 40,143-year-old sample affects how we process sugar. It might have helped Neanderthals survive when there was no food, but now it is a big reason why many people struggle with diabetes. The crazy part is how this ancient DNA affects our minds too. Some of the Neanderthal genes we carry are linked to how we feel pain and even how we sleep. If you are a night owl who likes to stay up late, you can probably thank a Neanderthal ancestor from 40,000 years ago. They had to be alert in the dark caves to stay safe from predators. This is a key detail because it shows that our modern life is still being run by prehistoric rules. And get this. Some researchers think that our ability to handle certain viruses, including the one that caused the global pandemic recently, comes directly from these ancient relatives. This makes the 40,143-year-old DNA the most valuable data on Earth. It is a literal instruction manual for the human body. Scientists are even using it to try and fix modern health problems. By understanding how the Neanderthal version of a gene works, they might be able to create new medicines. It is like getting a cheat code from a relative who lived 40,000 years ago. But the biggest shock was not about health, it was about why they disappeared and we stayed. These ancient genes are not just in mice. They're hiding in your own body right now. Closing humanity's oldest mystery. So here is the deal. If Neanderthals were so smart and their DNA was so strong, why are they gone? The 40,143-year-old DNA gives us a very sad answer. It was not a big war or a giant disaster. Basically, they just faded away. Because their groups were so small, they could not survive big changes in the weather or new diseases. They were so inbred that their babies were not as healthy as human babies. When humans moved into their land, we did not just fight them. We absorbed them. The crazy part is that Neanderthals are not really extinct. They just live inside of us now. Every time a human and a Neanderthal had a baby, the two species became one. Over thousands of years, the Neanderthal look disappeared, but the Neanderthal code stayed. This 40,143-year-old sample was from one of the very last pure Neanderthals. After him, there were only hybrids left. What many can confirm is that if we look at the whole world today, there is more Neanderthal DNA walking around right now than there ever was 40,000 years ago. It is not that simple, though. There is still that mystery of the ghost species. If we are a mix of humans, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and ghosts, then what are we exactly? Science is starting to show that there is no such thing as a pure human. We are all a beautiful, messy mix of everyone who came before. This is a key detail because it should bring us all closer together. We all carry the same ancient secrets in our blood, whether we live in America, Europe, or Asia. The 40,143-year-old bone is more than just a piece of trash from a cave. It is a mirror. When we look at that DNA, we are looking at ourselves. We see our strengths, our weaknesses, and our history. The result is shocking because it proves that the past is never truly gone. It is just waiting to be read. As we keep sequencing more ancient bones, who knows what other ghosts we will find hiding in the dark? The thing is, we are just beginning to understand the power of this ancient code. Every year, new technology lets us see further back in time. We might find out that there were even more groups of humans that we have totally forgotten about. But for now, we know that 40,000 years ago, a man named Thorin lived and died in a cave, never knowing that one day his very blood would tell the world the truth about who we are. It is a story of survival, even if that survival looks a lot different than we expected. Science proves we are a mix of ancient ghosts and cavemen. If a new type of human was discovered today, would society even accept them? This 40,000-year-old mystery is just the start. If you want more shocking discoveries, make sure to like and subscribe for more.